I think, I don't want to say victim shaming, but that shame thing comes back in, right? So where almost you feel like you stuffed up, when these people that are on the other side of cybercrime are incredibly intelligent. They're using tools to catch you. That's the whole point. Welcome back to another episode of Only Good Things with myself, Brent Lindeque, the good things guy. I tell you every week I'm excited. And I'm not being facetious when I say this. I've got an old friend. She's not old. She's a friend that's been a friend for a long time. In the studio with me today. We started our career together 11 years ago, 12 years ago.
12 years for
12,
me, yeah.
12 years ago on Cliff Central. I've got Rianette Leibowitz.
Correct.
Yes, I was so worried about getting... I mean, I've known you for years, but surnames I get wrong, names I get wrong.
It's okay.
It's Rianette, it's so great to have you here in the hot seat on my podcast, my new podcast in 2026 with me.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to share the space with you. Thank you so much, Brent. And congratulations. You've done so much, accomplished so much.
So have you. So Rianette and I go way back. When I had my show on Cliff Central, it was called The Good Stuff, that focused on all the good news, as it does now, just a little bit. It's evolved over the years. Rianette's show was after mine. Before mine.
Before yours,
Before yours. And you were with Timothy Maurice, I think, if I remember correctly. And you were speaking at the time, and it's still part of your core focus, about safety on the internet. Yes. And mostly focused, I mean, all adults can learn from being a little more safe on the internet, but it was for kids as well, right?
Yes. And back in the day, that time, my feature was called Cyber Health with Rianette. And it was all about cyberbullying and how to be safe online. But then, back then, Brent, people didn't really want to listen. The people were still like, oh, not my child, won't happen to me, I won't be so gullible. It was more focused on, or the industry was more focused on cybercrime and business cybercrime. So it was quite a tough conversation, but I'm glad I started then.
Well, I mean, if we had to look back, not just at your career, but at the internet and social media, how it's evolved in a decade. A decade ago, it was very different.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this. So for some of my viewers and listeners, when I go back and prep for shows, or when I want to look at just where I've come from, I sometimes listen to the podcasts from a decade ago.
Yeah.
And the funniest things come up. Twitter was such a huge speaking sort of narrative, and a place where we used to talk a lot at the time, a decade ago. And funny enough, I was prepping for a show the other day, and I logged on to listen to something. And in that conversation, I was speaking about how I just installed WhatsApp on my phone.
Wow.
So we've come a very far way in a decade. And I can imagine now that in your career, you've come a long way as well, because things have changed so drastically.
Yes, and it's always evolving. So it's really an interesting space to be in, but always almost tiring at times, because you think, oh, we've got this covered now, and then there's a new thing. Or, there's a new scam, or there's a new type of cybercrime, or there's a new thing that happens on the dark web that we need to fight. And as a cyber warrior, it's tiring, and you sometimes feel like, I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish we didn't have this issue. But it's here, and I don't think it's going to go away soon.
Of course not. It's just going to evolve some more. I want to take a step back before we get into the cyber crimes and all of those crazy things. The bullying, that has been consistent. So it doesn't matter how much the internet has evolved. Bullying is something that is real. It's something that's here. It's something that a lot of people on social media have to deal with. And I can imagine in a world where now a lot of kids have access to devices, and that the bullying from a schoolyard level must be at an extreme, using the cyber side.
Yes, and that's actually where my whole journey started, with cyber safety, because my background was communication, PR marketing, TV presenting, and all kinds of other things, fun things. And then I heard the shocking statistics, and this was back in 2014, the shocking statistics of young people who commit suicide because of cyberbullying. And it broke my heart. There's a song we sing in church, Lord, let my heart break for what breaks yours. And that happened. At that stage, I didn't know much about cyberbullying. So I thought, if it's so devastating, if people, and especially young people, are so lonely, desperate, feeling so vulnerable and absolutely hopeless, then we need to give attention to this issue. And that's where my journey started with the cyber safety aspect. And since then, 12 years later, I mean, cyberbullying has just gotten into different formats now. So like you say, now it's on WhatsApp, now it's done in different formats.
Well, I can imagine like kids playing that game on their iPad, I don't know,
Roblox and so forth.
There might be bullying in there as well. Like it's still social media, it's still the internet, it's just a different platform that can be used where our kids need to be safe. And adults as well.
Yeah.
It's maybe not on Roblox, but,
yes.
but adults on the internet also need to guard their safety as well.
For sure, definitely. And like in the beginning, I thought, okay, cyberbullying, this is it, and this is the main issue. But, there's so many other issues in cyber safety, not cybercrime. And that's why I then changed the message, not just to speak about cyberbullying, but to warn people and to help people to be cyber savvy so that we can look at all the other cyber safety elements out there, and not just the dangers, also the good things. I mean, we need to use the internet for good. We can actually be the light online. And the fact that and I get exposed to the horrible, evil side of the web and the dark web. I mean, it's horrific what people do there. And I'm saying people, it's not technology, it's someone sitting behind that engine. And I see the dark side of the web, but I also see how these light patches of people come onto the internet and it's like fiber optics, Brent. Fiber optics is a thin glass tube that, with a spark of light, with a pulse, takes my message to you. And for me, it's just not coincidence that it's a light that travels.
You're a light, so you are a light, and I understand how tough that balance must be, seeing the sort of dark side of what's going on. But just like you said, I mean, the space that I work in, telling good news stories, we see it, right? We see the internet being used for good as well. And I think if we can inspire more human beings to do just that, the world would be a very different place.
Totally.
But we it's going to take time to get there, I think, to get to that space where we understand the power that we hold in our hands when it comes to the internet or social media.
It will take time, but it doesn't have to. I mean, we all have a decision every second of the day before we click that screen. I always say, SaveTNet, the organization that I started, it's called SaveTNet Cyber Safety. It's got a fingerprint, a yellow fingerprint. Yellow is a happy color, and it's a fingerprint because isn't it ironic that it's with this tiny part of our bodies, our fingerprint and our fingertip, which represents our identity. It's your fingerprint, right? That we choose to either make someone's day or break their heart. And we've got a split second every time before we touch that screen to decide, what am I going to do? Am I going to like, share, retweet, or like X? Am I going to take this video? Am I going to share this video? How is it going to impact the people in the video, in the photo? And am I just going to send another WhatsApp for this person on her birthday, or am I going to phone my friend for a change? So we have a decision. It doesn't have to take that long to be light online. But I also want to say, as we use our fingertips in cyberspace, we need to remember that our value is not determined by what is being said online and about, the so-called number of friends you have or influence or likes. That doesn't determine someone's value because you were marvelously and wonderfully made. You were made for someone who is adoring you and who appreciates you. Not in cyberspace, in real life. And that's why I always say, think about our digital habits and digital-free dinners and just remember who really matters because in their life, you are going to be missed. Social media, not sure how many people miss us, when we don't share our breakfast or that walk on the beach.
So what's very interesting, and I can hard relate here.
Yes.
As a millennial, I had the incredible opportunity or the gift from the universe to live in two different worlds.
Yeah.
And that is before cell phones and social media.
Yeah.
And then obviously maybe 3 different worlds, because then it was the beginning of it, and then where we are now. And the world was very different when we didn't have social media.
Yeah.
We lived perhaps in the present a little bit more. There's that photo. We need to try find it and put it into, so we can show all of the viewers. The listeners will just have to get my description. But there's a photo of some sort of concert where everybody's got their phones out, and there's an older lady. I don't want to say she's a granny, because I don't know. But there's an older lady, and she's just staring at whatever is happening in front of her, being present.
Yes.
And I think that social media, like you said, you need to plan to have digital free dinners. Is that what you called it?
Yes.
I love that. Put the cell phone in a bag, put it on silent, put it on airplane mode.
Yes.
And just spend time with the people you love. I think that's such an important thing. And not just dinners, other experiences as well. One of the greatest things for me is working out. And not when I'm at the gym, because I'm very naughty at the gym. I'm still on my phone. So I'm still connected, got my AirPods in. If I get a message, someone phones, I'm still sort of there. But when I'm on my bicycle or my motorbike or swimming,
Oh, nice.
swimming's the best, because I'm in the pool for like an hour and I don't know what's going on with the rest of the world.
Oh,
And
it's so nice.
it's really good for my mental health, actually, now that you say that.
Yes, because you are disconnected from all these disturbances, and you're connected and you're present. And it made me think, now that you said, it's not just going to gym, but we went to the Robert Mountain in Plett this December.
A beautiful part of South Africa.
Oh, and in Jan we walked the full one. Took us
Which is
5 hours.
It's a lot.
It took us
I've
5
done the
hours.
half one, so hats off to you.
Yeah, so it was incredibly challenging. I mean, it's scary at some stages, but you are in it. And I felt so invigorated, and I felt so like we did it as a family. Now, I have to admit, I have my phone with me because I take photos, and sometimes that's the challenge, because we are still reaching for a device, and I'm usually way in the back because I'm like, guys, you didn't see this little flower, look here, you almost stepped on it. So but I'm still present in that moment as to my surroundings and so forth. And so I totally agree with you on, not just dinners, but we have to, and it's another digital habit, is carve time out where you take a break every day. And even between, like when you do your work and you take a quick break, don't go from one screen to the next. Go to do a quick walk. Just go outside, stand in the sun, or just let your eyes rest on something else for a bit.
Rianette, I feel so guilty because I'm saying, yeah, swimming and this and that I'm doing, but I'm on a screen most of the day. So maybe that hour I'm off when I'm at gym, but I move from one screen to the next, and then sometimes even in the evening when I'm supposed to be having downtime and I don't know, watching TV, I might have a second or a third screen.
I know, right?
It's really bad.
It's like that moment when you think and you're like, what am I doing? I'm not actually watching any of these things and being present, and I'm having a conversation. Yeah. So I love the fact that you mentioned the word guilty. Thank you for that, because it makes me think of something that I'm quite alarmed by. And I'm also going to speak about a book called The Shame Machine by Kathy O'Neill. And she talks about who is profiting from humiliation. And the fact that through social media, through the industries, we are made to feel guilty or ashamed about whatever. Getting wrinkles, being overweight, being on our screens too long, not being present as a parent, whatever the case. And then they sell. And then we get the algorithms that teach us and feed us and just manipulate us, right? And for me, the shame message it landed a couple of years ago when I had to speak at a conference, and it was a very tough one. It was about the collision against child online and offline sexual abuse. And I spoke about the questions that we need to ask now for the future. At that stage, the metaverse was the big thing and the big topic. So I wanted to know, how do we protect ourselves in the metaverse? Where are you going to go if your avatar does something to my avatar that I feel is offensive? And through it all, I really became aware that shame is that thing that traps most of us whenever we are in an addictive space. And digital addiction is one thing, and when another digital habit, by the way, is for us to really be in charge of our digital habits. But addiction doesn't just have to be something negative. It can be, you can be addicted to exercise, you can be addicted to, like my addiction, I'm sorry to say, it's so frivolous in a way. It's like notebooks and stationery, and I told myself, I'm done now. I've got enough for the next year, no more. But if we think about drug abuse, whether you think it's okay to vape or not, whether you think it's okay to use alcohol or not, and then even things, more serious things like pornography, it's that cycle of shamefulness that keeps a person trapped, and sometimes will let them stay there because they're too worried and afraid to get out, talk about it, and say, listen, I'm in trouble, because sometimes that is done behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And something that shocked me many years ago, as I am speaking at schools and doing my corporate talks, you get to a school where the parent gets called in because the child has got porn on his or her phone. And the mom was, but why are you wasting my time? I don't care. And I realized, okay, it might bug me, but it's not necessarily a moral issue for everybody.
Okay.
But the fact of the matter is, if it starts, any type of addiction starts to impact your family time, your relationships, your physical, mental well-being, and of course your work, and the level of contribution you bring to society, we have to ask a question. And I just saw the link, the word shame, and how we are not just reminded of it, but being kept and held captive by it.
So it's absolutely fascinating, and I said the word guilt, and that works in the same way as shame, because I am chronically online, and I know it. It's partly, and this is my excuse when it comes to my digital addiction, is because it's for my work.
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm chronically online so that I can see what's happening. My assistant's looking at me, and she is, because she knows. I often, because, and this is no pat on the back. It's not something that I'm proud of, but I'll know what's going on, like in a TikTok trend or a conversation, way before my friends or even the team. So when I'm like, guys, this is going to be a great story, we should head there. Why? Because I'm chronically online. Not something I'm proud of. But what I'm taking from this, and I'm hoping that I'm picking up what you're putting down, is that I need to cultivate a space with it's not just an hour a day that is away from my screen, but I need to be a little bit more savvy with my cyber time. And perhaps then what that means, I've seen this before, so I'm just throwing ideas out here, you tell me if I'm wrong or right. But like waking up and not looking at your phone for the first, I don't say half an hour because it's a lot of time, the first 15 minutes of the day. Let's start there.
Start with 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Start just by not waking up with your phone.
Like immediately, yeah.
And listen, I wanted to quickly say, screen time is not a waste of time.
Okay.
So please don't.
So there's a balance. Right?
Yes, I mean,
balance.
if we work in a field for 20 hours a day, no one's going to really complain about screen time or your field time. It's just about the balance. And I think going into a new year and thinking about your digital habits, not just you, me, everybody.
Everybody that's listening or watching, this is for everybody. Great advice.
Let's think about 3 things that we spend. The first is our attention, our time, and our money. Where do we spend it? So if we can be a little bit more critical about our attention, who gets it? Because sometimes we've got puppies and they love to play with us, but we just on the phone the whole time, or whatever the case. So thinking about our attention, our time, and then our money. And when I say money, I'm also thinking about which engines do we feed, which algorithms and social media engines and so forth. And by the way, I'm not against social media and the internet. I love it. I think we can use it, like you are, to spread good news, to raise awareness, to make impact. So for me, it's really, really not to disconnect and throw the tech out of the window.
I think the big word here that I'm getting is balance. It's balance. And if I mean, those three things, absolutely. But I need to, for me and anybody that's listening or watching, you need that balance between what's good for you, what's good for the environment. Be aware of the algorithms as well, because they could become your echo chamber. I do need to ask if we can just sidestep for 2 seconds about cybersecurity, and this is something for me that has become a huge narrative in the last couple of months, is scammers. So I might be in tune. Not always. Even I can get sort of an email where I go, is that, should I click this? I don't know. Or a phone call where I'm busy in the middle of the day and someone's phoning me going, hi, there's been a transaction on your account. But
yes.
So let's just, for a couple of minutes, focus on scamming in the cyber world, and also how do we protect ourselves in that space, if we can. Is there one size fits all that can protect us? I don't know.
Let me start by saying, if you've stepped into a trap, don't beat yourself up about it, because it has happened to IT experts, security experts, everybody. It can happen to anybody, because they are getting so sophisticated, these scammers and these syndicates, using AI technology, making sure that they really sound, look, and in a way feel familiar when you talk to them. Like, I've also had those calls from the bank, and they've got all my details, and unfortunately for that person, I have a little bit of insight, so I took them for a ride, but it was fun. But I was like, if this was my dad, if this was my gran, if this is my friend, they would have stepped into that trap.
Yeah.
So there's no one size fits all, unfortunately, but you can do the basics. Things that we hear all the time, but we don't necessarily do them, is, have your antivirus software. And there's so many amazing packages out there that can stop those mails and so forth to not even reach you. Then to be super alert and to rather say, I'll call back on the number that's on the website.
Yeah, that's a great way.
Yes, and there's all the other things that we've known and listened to for all these years, but look at the spelling of the email address. Look, if you hover, don't click, hover over that link. What does it say? It will usually have some dodgy characters, and then you're like, okay, now I can't click here. And if you receive something via SMS or WhatsApp, your bank and certain providers won't do that. And my dad even got the phone call from the so-called police to tell him that they've confiscated a package, and it's got his ID number and falsified documents and all kinds of things in this package. And they're coming to, he needs to come and meet with them. And luckily he didn't, and we spoke about it, but that was part of the scam, where they WhatsApp call you, a person in they look like a legit officer. So you just cannot trust everybody.
You've got to be so wary.
Yeah.
You've got to be so wary. I see it, and obviously last year I was not involved in a scam, but my face was used in a fake News 24 website that had been set up, and it was my face, and there was this fake interview where I was apparently telling people to go to this certain investment company to invest in whatever it was. And the reality is, first off, never ever believe anything that I say with finance or investing. I'm the guy that'll tell you to take the holiday or to buy the shoes in every color. Like, I'm not a great financial expert. But it was really scary, because there were people that were messaging me going, Brent, is this true? Do I need to invest with this company? So luckily, News 24 got involved. Standard Bank got involved, because they were named as like one of the person in this fake story that I'd interviewed had left Standard Bank to be. So all of these departments got involved and they managed to shut the website down, thankfully. But there could have been a few people that would have been caught out because it looked so legit.
Yeah.
It looks, these scammers make it look so real. It's very scary.
And it's so scary when people trust you. They're using your brand, and luckily you found out about it.
Yeah.
And the fake news business is also a big thing to talk about. But I think it reminds me of, through the victim support that I've done, there was a charity, a woman who set up a very, very good charity cause because of her son's illness. He passed away, and she built this brand for many years. Someone hacked that account and then asked funders and people to donate, which they did because they know her, and they used a different account. So she actually lost so much credibility, and everyone then boycotted her page. And, those things are so devastating. And it actually makes me think of just some of the victim stories. It's really harsh when you're on the other side, when you are the victim. It's easy to talk about what not to do and how to overstep these things. But can I share a couple of stories?
Absolutely. This is what we can learn from. So
yes.
Please share one of the stories. Because also, I think, I don't want to say victim shaming, but that shame thing comes back in, right? So where almost you feel like you stuffed up. When these people that are on the other side of cybercrime are incredibly intelligent. They're using tools to catch you. That's the whole point.
And that's why I started with that, is not to feel guilty when that has happened to you or to feel stupid, because you do. You're like, but I should have seen this coming. But in terms of victim support, sure, 10 years of it gets to you after a while. It's hard work. But, there was the father one Friday afternoon calls me in tears because his son shared intimate photos and now he's being blackmailed. And if he didn't pay the enormous fee by a certain time of the day, they would have shared that online, which is a horrible situation to be in. At least that boy had his father's support, because another boy who we helped, also high school, he got in a similar situation, but when I spoke to him, he said, please just don't tell my dad. Just don't tell my dad. I'll speak to the police, I'll speak to anyone, but don't tell my father, because he's going to hit me so hard. And he was really worried about his physical safety, which was heartbreaking for me to know that, wow, this boy doesn't have that safety net, someone to go to or somewhere, or that he doesn't feel safe at home. And it's another problem with where parents who don't use, and I think it's different now, Brent, because luckily, now parents are more cyber savvy, right? So they use technology themselves, whereas 10 years ago it was a little less. And so for me, it's so scary when parents don't support their children, or they want to keep it all away, and then all of a sudden that child needs to go to high school, and they're like in high school for my son, that's the way they communicate to the kids. I don't feature. We talk to your child directly. And then there are the other heartbreaking stories. A couple of retired people who fell for those love letters and the online dating scams, and the one she lost all her life savings because of this guy, or this love that she thought she had. And so the stories go on. And also, from an influencer point of view, some of the influencers who got hacked and that I supported and helped, we sat together, this influencer crying because as this hacker took over the account on Insta, you could see all the things being deleted, all those posts, and it's like that's the lifeline. That's like money. That's their bread and butter. So so many stories, and it's always a ripple effect. And I just want to say, if it ever happens to anyone that you get caught into cyberbullying, sextortion, whatever the case is, to really remember to look after your mental well-being afterwards. Especially
or even during.
During, definitely. But then people are all on top of this issue. We are sorting it out. We are, in crisis mode. And then 3 weeks later, you don't understand why you still feel so heavy-hearted. And that's when those guilt feelings and you can't believe this happened to you, all those things creep in. And especially young people who don't know how to deal with it. And then the other thing is that sometimes these cases will reoccur. After a couple of years, that story goes viral again, or that video gets taken somewhere, and that same hurt and harm comes into the picture.
So I think what's really beautiful is the work that you do might live in the cyberspace or in social media or on the internet, but it really does also come down to mental health. Mm-hmm. And everything that you're trying to teach, and I say trying to, because not everybody's going to learn from you. What you're trying to teach, everything falls back to mental health. So
It
protecting that mental health,
Yes.
whether it's that screen time, the balance, the
Yes.
password protecting, being a little bit more aware. At the end of the day, it comes down to being a little bit more focused on your mental health when it comes to the cyber world.
Exactly, and I'm glad that you mentioned and seeing that, because I started with cyberbullying, then I went to cyber safety, and then, interestingly enough, beginning 2020, I was like, I'm a little bit like, I need something new to talk about, like I've done cyber safety for a long time now. Let's talk about cyber wellness. And then COVID happened, and we were stuck behind our laptops and so forth. And I want to come back to something you said earlier. What does cyber wellness mean? It's because our physical and digital lives have become so intertwined, we really can't do the one without the other anymore. So we cannot be disconnected. We operate online, we transact online. I mean, whatever you want to do, whether you're booking a movie ticket or a flight, we do it online. And for me, it's so interesting when you really start looking at your life, your relationships, your health, your environment, your education, your faith. How do you live that online and offline? How do you keep that balance? But how do you use technology in a way that supports you in your life? Like some people prefer to do online church instead of going to church. But if you choose that, then what's the impact on the community that you serve? So just asking those questions, being aware of it, and then saying, okay, how do I make sure that technology is working for me and I'm not working for it?
How do I make sure technology is working for me and I'm not working for it is such a great line to end today on. But also, we started somewhere in the beginning of the conversation about using the internet, the cyberspace, and social media for good. And I think that's also important, because that's part of the work that you are trying to teach, is that it can be used for good.
Yes.
And it's been incredibly amazing chatting to you today, Rianette. If our viewers or listeners want more information, because I'm sure they're going to want to, there's a whole bunch of things that you've dropped today, a lot of things for us to think about. Where do they go?
To Cyber Wellness with Rianette or Rianette.com. And I want to add one thing, because I actually brought something that's really close to my heart, which I would love to share, is that each one of us have something that breaks our hearts. There's always a cause, whether it is the turtles, elderly animals, maybe space junk, I don't know. Something breaks your heart, and that's where we need you to act. And you can use the internet and social media to create awareness for that and be the light there. But it's really important for me that we just all do that thing, because that becomes part of our purpose. And I brought a picture that my son drew for me way back when. And I want to show it, because if someone asks me why am I so passionate about cyber safety, then I can honestly say I'm not really passionate about cyber safety. I'm passionate about lives and saving lives online. And my son Jordan, he drew this picture for me, and I'll share it as well. But I was like, oh wow, I love the crown, I love the green shoes and everything else and the spark around it.
Yeah.
But what's the story? Where's my magic wand?
Yeah.
And he said, no, Mom, you're a cyber warrior and you fight for kids in cyberspace, so you need a sword.
And so he gave you a sword.
So that's why I've got a sword, and that's what keeps me going. And it's about getting something that keeps you going. That thing that's like, besides the fact that it still gives me goosebumps and I still feel like no pressure, it's that thing that breaks your heart enough to keep you angry, annoyed, like, I need to do something about this. I will not let people get away with it, because that's how I feel about these criminals in cyberspace. They hurt people, but we can stop them.
We can stop them. Rianette, you are a cyber warrior, and I want to thank you for the incredible work that you've done your whole life, but from what I've known for the last 12 years. You inspire me, and I think I sleep just a little bit better at night knowing that there's people like you out there that are really looking after human beings, kids, everybody that's on the cyberspace, to make sure that they are safe. So thank you so much for being on the show today. It's
Thank
been
you.
incredible. To all of our listeners and our viewers, there is so many more other great interviews. Please subscribe, like, share. Taylor's actually behind, busy going, do all the things. And tune in for all the other episodes. There's really cool interviews that we've done with people like Rianette. It's been absolutely amazing. Like I say every week, wishing you only good things. Okay. Love you. Bye.